All right, what's up, man? How you
We're
doing?
chilling, dog. Good. How are you, bro?
I'm good. Just get a little berry vision in me. But, living the dream, as they say.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for bringing these, what I meant to say. Not just thanks, bro, about you living the
Me
dream.
living the dream?
I mean, thank you for living the dream.
Yeah, it takes
What is
courage.
your shirt? Blue G cream?
Yeah, on the back, it's like, like those pre-packaged joints, like, it's pretty much that. But I got in New York City, it was like $50.
Oh, sick.
I don't know, some little, like, pop-up shop.
Yeah. You want to pull the mic down, like, how it is for me, like, below? Yep, perfect.
All right.
There you go.
How you doing? Perfect.
That's good.
Okay.
I think people are going to like that.
All right. Oh, yeah.
Episode 10 of the I Am Your Friend podcast, and our guest today is our friend Luke, who
Hey, what's
also
up?
happens to be my cousin.
I'm very proud to be so.
Yeah, our entire lives we've been cousins. Isn't
I
that
know.
crazy?
Not many other people can say that.
I
except,
don't.
like,
Yeah, I don't think we can.
25 other people.
I mean, it's just 25.
Yeah, small
Totally.
number.
What's going on, bro?
Not much, man. Been working a shit ton.
Yeah.
I'm bartending now.
Oh,
learning how
yeah,
to
I heard about
bartend,
that.
Getting on the circuit.
I've lived that life myself. It's a good time.
I'm coming from the kitchen, so it's
Right.
like
I did the same thing, bro.
Yeah.
I was a kitchen guy.
the natural progression.
Right. I was a dishwasher, and then I was a cook, and then I was a server, and then now I'm a bartender. Or not anymore, but I became one. And then I bailed, and now I work at 9 to 5.
Yeah. Well, hell yeah.
It's selling out, but
Why not?
it happens.
Way fucking better. At least you're doing something on the side,
That's true.
exploring your passions
Yeah, I'm
and
hanging
shit.
out. Put my phone on Do Not Disturb here real quick.
Oh, yeah. Should probably do the same.
Just try not to be distracted,
Movie theater vibes.
For real. So how old are you now? 21?
Freshly 21, as in, well, not freshly. I'm closer to 22 now. But,
Yeah.
It's nice. It sucked that it happened during COVID
Yeah.
because I wanted to go to like the world's largest disco.
Oh, yeah. That's usually around the same time
That
as
was
your birthday.
on my birthday.
Oh, it was.
yeah.
Bummer.
So yeah, but whatever. Life goes
There's always
on.
next year, baby.
What am I gonna
I've
do?
never been to the world's largest disco, but I hear it's a good
Me
time.
neither. So
Yeah,
I was
well,
like,
obviously, yeah, it's a
yeah.
21 plus event, bro.
So
One of my favorite things about you, which you probably don't know, this is one of my favorite things about you, is that you went to school for a year and then said, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, so I'm out of here. And I think that's like the best decision you could have made. And I just didn't do that, I just was like, well, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having a good time, so I'm going to keep having a good time. But financially, that was a terrible decision on my end,
yeah.
So,
Well, that's pretty much what I mean. Like financials was definitely a big part, but like mental health wise, like just the stress it was like putting on me, like my family, and like honestly, like the easiest thing to ever happen was COVID because like it brought me home and like I was like just sitting at a computer and I was just like so disenfranchised from the whole like college experience at that point. Like I was like, I can't just sit by and watch like my parents struggle. Like, my she's working her ass off like every day. And I'm like, well, what kind of son am I to just
right, sit at home on a laptop and not provide a help at hand. Yeah. It's funny how during the pandemic, I feel like a lot of people probably, I mean, I did, I know for sure I did, of just like when you're stuck inside and you just are like, confined to your quarters and have to, it really just kind of disassociates from like what's actually going on. So like, you're going to school in your bedroom or whatever.
Yeah, and I didn't really have like a general direction. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
I liked maybe 2 classes.
Sure.
And there was philosophy. Like,
There
what
you
am I
go,
gonna
baby.
do?
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute for sure. But no, I'm just saying like when I was working from home, and it's like when you take away everything else outside of the experience, you know what I mean? When it's like, okay, you don't have the college experience anymore, right? Or for me, you don't have the office. I'm not in the office. I'm not with people. I'm not socializing. I don't have the amenities. I don't have, all I have is the work. And when you just have the work, it really makes you think like, what the fuck am I doing?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Or what do I want to do?
It for? Like, if I'm just doing work by myself, I want it to be on myself.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the people you surround yourself with at work, like, it's almost like a copium. It's like, everyone's in it together. So it's like, you don't want to be the Debbie Downer to bring everyone down, but you're also like making the most of it. It's like workaholics and like in a perfect world, but
Right.
I'd love to be Adam.
That's your guy, Adam.
Well, honestly,
I feel like you're more of a Blake guy.
I personify with all three at times.
Yeah, same.
Like, I feel like there's a constant battle going on inside of me.
For sure.
Just who wants to come out.
That's how I feel about...
sometimes it's theirs.
Yeah, I feel like I always say I am all the characters of that 70s show, like in one person. Like, I think I'm every single character in one. I have pieces of all of them. But I love that 70s show.
We're
I
going
love
on
Workaholics
Split
too.
there, you know?
Yeah, right, yeah. That's probably concerning. When it's like, yeah, I actually have all these voices in my head.
Yeah, right.
Or all these personalities. That movie's fucking crazy.
That movie is crazy. Who's that actor? That guy's...
Uh,
so gifted.
Shit.
And he doesn't get the recognition. Here we are. I don't even know his fucking name. And
I know. I do know his name. I just can't think of it. Now I got to look it up because I'm not going to do this man a disservice. He's one of those guys that during the there was a Twitter trend for a while that was like, people who understand the assignment. That was the whole thing. It's like, that dude fucking got it.
At any role, he just
James McAvoy. That's his name. Yeah. Yeah, he's phenomenal in everything, dude.
McAvoy.
Shout out James McAvoy for sure.
Killer.
So you decide to stop going to school and just start working and figuring out what you want to do in life.
Yeah.
Which is cool, man. I know every person I know who has done that, which is very few, I am jealous of, because it's like, that's what life is. You know what I mean? It's not putting yourself into thousands of dollars in debt, sitting in a classroom, not knowing what you want to do with your life. It's, it's
trying to figure it, like,
go have real life experiences.
Yeah. Like, I feel like hands-on is the best way to learn. I can't learn through someone else's experience,
right.
If I can't have it myself. And that, I guess that's what college is for.
Yeah.
So it's like you're out there to experience, like, you're in a whole new place, and you're chasing these experiences around you. Like, I was in Cincinnati, but I didn't really get to the step where I could get an internship or really get to branch out, because one, I didn't even have a car, and I was stuck in it was like a low income neighborhood, and then just this massive Christian institute, and like that was just like the irony in it all.
Yeah,
I was like,
that just reminded. There's a song. Well, there's an EP from this band called Water Me Down, called Bragging Rights, and there's a song on it called God I Found Hell, and in the song he says, God I found hell in a college town, at least it felt like hell to me. And then later in the song, he says, sleepless in Cincinnati is what they'll call me. So I wonder if that's where he went. I mean, I'm sure there's multiple schools in Cincinnati.
I mean,
for sure,
UC is like smack dab in the actual city of Cincinnati. And that's like a way bigger school.
Yeah.
But that's where all the action was, for sure.
Yeah.
Was at UC. Xavier was it was a small school. You
Yeah.
know, like it had all this like big build up. And of course, like the basketball team.
That's the shit there at Xavier?
Yeah, but they couldn't get anything going at the time I was there, so that was kind of...
Yeah.
But actually, don't want to shit on him. One of my roommates, he was from Australia, and he was like a walk-on the team.
Damn.
So that's pretty cool. Ramon.
Shout out Ramon.
From Australia.
Did he came here to go to Xavier?
Yeah, for basketball. So, like, he didn't come... I think he did, like, 2 years in high school at like some school in maybe like Indiana or someplace like that, like
somewhere in the Midwest,
like, private Christian or like whatever private high schools. They're so big on sports, so they'll just take from anywhere.
Right. How many roommates did you have?
So how it worked, like my freshman year, it was
were you living like on campus?
Yeah. So like every time, like the whole time I was living on campus, so it was like 2 conjoined dorms with a bathroom in between and 2 people on each side. And then my sophomore year, it was actually pretty cool. I had 7 roommates, and then 1 left. He was just a temporary one. He was looking for a spot to stay, and I was like, hell yeah. And then so I had that room to myself for like 6 months. So that was sick. Another thing. It was like super sick, but like once I closed the door, like I isolated myself. You know, like I think that's essential for a little, like
for sure. I feel that. Like
you need the bits of socialization because like you get caught up in your own insanity so quick.
I bet
you can spin a thread as a whole tapestry of just.
I think about that a lot because obviously, I mean, I'm still living with my parents, but when I,
Well, me
eventually
too.
I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah.
And I, contemplate back and forth of like, should I live on my own? Do I do the roommate thing? And I'm like living by myself. Like, I feel like, parts of it would be great, but at the same time, it's just like, I'd probably get real lonely and probably like lose my shit pretty quick.
I know, but another thing is like, I find it so hard to try to drag someone else into my life to try to live with them. It's like,
yeah, my thing is I'm just like super particular about how I'm very neat and organized, and like I just like I like shit an exact opposite way. Yeah. I like making the decisions for like home decor and shit. I'm all about like setting the vibe of the room, you know what I mean? So it's like I mean, my anxiety is like, all up here at all times, so
you need the proper feng shui,
right? Exactly. And that really like helps me, you know what I mean? I like when I have like a nice neat clean space and like I have what I want on the walls where I want them, like I feel like there's like an OCD thing going on in the back too, that it's just like when shit is set where it's supposed to be, it just like keeps me at ease.
It calms you.
Yeah, and like, that's kind of the same where it's like I don't want to bring somebody into that where it's like I don't want to like see
right?
and
then,
you
and then how do you
see me
explain
freak
that
out
to them,
right
exactly, like if they don't really have a solid grasp on it, it just seems like you're being a dick, but
right?
It's like,
it's like
no,
damn, this dude's out of his goddamn mind.
Right,
it's like and I kind of am, and that's kind of
but like I'm still me, right? It's like you gotta take the good with the bad.
Yeah, totally. Are you still writing at all? I know you were writing for a while, which is when I started to like pay attention to you more, not that I didn't pay attention to you before, but it was just like, the side of the family that we're on, I feel like we don't have that many, outwardly expressive, creative people.
Oh no, we're so.
And I've always and I've always felt like kind of alone in that. So when I saw you posting stuff that you started like writing, I was like, "Yo, let's go!" Like I need someone else on my side here.
So I write like, I just did it purely as like stress relief, like just like through poetry. It's like it's easier to express yourself because you're not dealing with just these objective truths that words can hold sometimes. You're putting it all in. Well, sometimes they can if you're taking it literally, but that's where poetry comes in, obviously, with your figurative elements and stuff. But I like sometimes if like I feel like I'm having an anxiety attack or something, I just like kind of like to take in my surroundings and like try to write a haiku or something.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good way to do. I mean, that's what it was for me. Like forever was just like that's the only way I knew how to deal with shit. Like I feel like there's thoughts going through my head at 1,000 miles a minute. A lot of the time, especially I mean, growing up, even as like a kid,
to get out energy.
Yeah, for sure. I've been big on journaling lately too. Of just like stream of consciousness shit. You ever get into that?
Oh yeah,
love that, man. Like.
Normally I'll just do like a voice.
Yeah,
a voice
yeah.
memo.
I do that sometimes too.
Just because like my ADHD is like, me, you've known me my entire life. I'm a pretty spazzy.
Yeah,
to put it kindly. But like sitting in front of a computer and just simply typing, like. I prefer writing, but then again, my handwriting's so bad, and so I just stopped doing it because I was like, I have to conform to the computer because it's the only way I can really. But
see, my thing is with writing on the computer is like what I liked about it.
But the message is sloppy too, so like I think there's like a little.
Well, the thing is, it's also not for anybody else. It's just for you, so it doesn't really matter. But for me, like writing on a phone or writing on a computer. Like I was saying, like my thoughts move at like 1,000 miles a minute sometimes. So it's like when I can type really fast. So it's like, it allows me to get it, you know what I mean? Like get everything out fast.
And you're like, what?
Yeah. And when I write, I have to write slowly. And so like, but there's also something good in that too, when it's like,
it allows for like thought calculation almost.
Yeah, it forces you to slow down for a second. It's like, when I'm typing on a computer, if I'm journaling that way, it's like, okay, my thoughts are going this fast. I got to get all of this out as fast as I can and expand on it, whatever. And then, but when I'm writing in a notebook, it's like, okay, I can't possibly get all this out. So it's like you have to focus on one thought at a time and get it out, which is also extremely beneficial. So,
and like sometimes the impulsive thoughts aren't always the best one.
Yeah,
you
true.
know, like the ones that pop up real quick, like those are normally like your buzzword thoughts.
Yeah,
you know?
the caveman thoughts is what I call it. Yeah, that's a huge...
It's more instinctual than it is like deep, insightful.
Yeah, those are usually your worst thoughts.
Metacognition, you know?
Yeah. And I'm a person who likes to, I mean, and I'm sure most people do, is just like those instinctual thoughts when they come up. It's like, whoa. Like, why did I just think that? You know what I mean?
And
then
it's terrifying.
Yeah, it is. I like the idea of thinking about shit like primally. I don't know if that's a word, but like just like instinctually is the better word. But
big jump. What do you think about like past lives and stuff?
Oh wow.
Do you think that like, because I was listening to your third podcast with
Kaya?
Yeah. And like I really loved what she had to say about the whole energy stuff. And like I did a mushrooms experience in like Chicago with like my buddy from college, James, and my other buddy Josh. And like my buddy James like led us through like a meditation circle.
Oh, sick.
And like his big claim is that he was a pharaoh in Egypt, and like I've never been able to like really get there and like see anything, but like
me neither. But
the
I think
possibilities
it's
are fun
for
to think
sure.
about, you know?
Well, and I've talked about this on the podcast before of the idea of energy has to go somewhere, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't just die. So it's like your body
transforms if anything.
For sure, yeah. So I don't know, the idea of a past life or reincarnation, I guess, makes sense for me. I just have no idea how to tap into that, and I'm sure.
I don't think we're meant to.
Yeah,
honestly.
I don't know. See,
some
my
of
thing
us
is,
maybe like
right.
There are some people you meet and you're just like,
I'm all about the idea of enlightenment, and like that's the goal, right? That's where we're trying to reaching nirvana, if you will, of just like
the wheel of dharma.
Yeah, just leveling up to a point of consciousness where it's like it's like the end of the video game, right? It's like I completely understand my story and understand what my energy is, and understand what I'm harboring in here and where it's been and where it's going, and you can separate that from the body and the mind, you know what I mean, and just have the spirit aspect of it. And that's like, you know, true peace, and that's when you become
have
like
no more ego.
Complete,
you're not
right? Exactly,
detached.
and that's the entire thing is, and that's kind of where my focus has been. You know, and you're, you know, worlds ahead. I mean, when I was 21, I was not thinking about this shit. I was, but it was more like base level, just like I smoke a lot of weed and think about this. But you know, as I've been getting older, I just, you know, dive more deeper into it, and you know, psychedelics are kind of like cheat codes to the video, completing the video game. You know, it's like
they're the YouTube tutorial.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally. Yeah, you take them and then you're like, whoa, like I just kind of saw the next level.
Glimpse.
Yeah.
And they level up too. You know, there's difficulty levels. It's like, here's mushrooms, here's acid,
I
here's
still
DMT.
Whoa,
you know?
have you done DMT?
I would love to do DMT. I haven't been comfortable enough. Like,
I officially just became the Joe Rogan now that we're. This is the first time we're talking about DMT.
Go lick a toad, man.
So is that a thing?
Yeah,
I've heard of that.
There's toads in like some desert, maybe in Mexico, New Mexico, Arizona. You know that
the
dry,
Southwest.
arid land. That they have like a more natural form of DMT. It's like it has an extra molecule attached to it, so it takes you on a completely different trip. It's like, you know, Martin's Fantasy Island.
Yeah,
you know, like that roller coaster.
Two episodes in a row we brought up Fantasy Island, but yeah, the Silver Comet? Shout out Fantasy Island for sure.
They're probably struggling right now.
They're closed for sure. Yeah, for sure. They've been closed for a little bit.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, but my friend Meg, who was on last week, apparently has some insight that it might be somebody's trying to go in and redo it.
They should probably take down the Silver Comet.
Yeah, that thing is a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Whiplash every time. It's terrible.
Yeah, that thing is terrifying.
But anyways, that's the toad version of DMT, the Silver Comet, and then like the other DMT is like the Superman.
So the other DMT is better?
I don't know. It's just, you know, it's like newer, I guess.
Okay, cleaner.
Yeah. You know, like it's the crystal form, you know, it can be made through chemistry and science.
Yeah, the first time I ever heard about DMT, I was in Fredonia, and met this kid from East Aurora who was a white dude with dreads. And
East Aurora? Really?
Yeah, right. Yo, everybody I know from East Aurora at one point or another has had super long hair, and like half of them had dreads and the other half thought about it. You know what I mean?
I don't know what it is, but like East Aurora could be confused for a Juggalo encampment.
East Aurora is a cult town for sure.
Is.
They are definitely, there's like human sacrifice.
There's some
shit.
crazy
There's
in that
some,
water.
Yeah, the vibes are interesting. I worked in East Aurora for a while. It's
but, I mean, hey, they got their own
East Aurora,
thing going though. It's a pretty cool spot.
Yeah, it is. I was actually just talking about this last night.
It's probably Old Man Bidler who runs the whole thing.
Yeah, he's the
Walt Disney
the cult leader.
Yeah.
He's running the show. He's the man behind the curtain. I was just talking about this last night with a few of my buddies about just like the ultimate life goal of like where I want to end up and where I'm trying to go. You know, like I would like to own a home or just live in a home in like the
that you can call your own.
Yeah, there you go. In like the Elmwood Village, probably. I don't know, just like somewhere in the city of Buffalo, and live there for like a while, and then eventually like retire to like East Aurora and have some land and like, you know, be in the town and shit. I don't know. I like East Aurora. It's a good spot.
What I like about East Aurora is it has like this almost country, not country in the, like the aspect of like the but you know, like the rural setting rather, but it's all the benefits of that, having nature all around you, you know, beauty, flowing, people caring about like what they do, the environment
community there.
Stuff.
There's a good sense of the community there for sure. Definitely like more forward thinking people than surrounding areas. Yeah,
which is huge. Yeah,
totally. And that's I mean, you know me, that's my shit, dude. That's that's why I want to get into the city and stuff. You know, it's like living in West Seneca. I'm like, fucking Jesus, bro.
Right?
Like
every day.
I'm trying to be like, you know, progressive as I can, but it's like this is a town
this is not
moving at a snail's pace.
Orchard Park and Colden aren't really too different either.
I imagine they would not be. Yeah. West Seneca and Orchard Park are very similar. I mean, Orchard Park's way bigger, but I was reading yesterday, so we get like the this is like the most old man shit ever, but we get the Sun, which is like the Orchard Park West Seneca newspaper. Yeah, it's like West Seneca, Elma, Orchard Park, a real weird circle.
Talk about
of
a dying
towns.
brand,
dude.
man.
That's what I'm saying. But hey,
here
somebody at my house
you
pays
know?
for it, and it shows up, and I read it. But I just like to know what's going on. You know,
right? And I mean, we honestly should, because we are our local government.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not fucking paying West Seneca tax. My parents are. I appreciate them for it, you know. But I was reading there's this article about like you know, Orchard Park is split on returning to school, like on how they're going to return to school, like with the COVID thing and everything. And I just was thinking about it. I was like, damn. I was like, it is crazy how like just like this area of the suburbs, like, which is the towns just south of the city, are so split like politically and like by money too. Like you have really like wealthy parts of both towns.
You can see the economic lines everywhere.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's super interesting. And I think it's also good. I feel like you kind of need that to have a thriving town almost.
I mean, it also shows our history, because like the towns that didn't have money now didn't always necessarily, like Lackawanna, you know, South Buffalo in the 70s, 60s, 80s, you know, like they were thriving. You know, Buffalo was really on the come up. I mean, just look at all the references and like that music from that era. Like, you know, people before the Buffalo Bills were good. Like, I don't know, growing up, no one had no idea, like, people didn't know what Buffalo was. But
yeah,
like,
no fact. I mean, Buffalo was like the city in America in like the end of the 19th century, like late 1800s. Like everybody was coming here, you know, and it was just
had a lot going on.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. The steel mill and shit. Like there was a lot of. It was just a place of industry. It was a very, you know, like the working class. It was a real opportunity city for like
just jobs.
Yeah, jobs everywhere, man. Yeah, and then you know, the economy kind of collapsed. And I'm not going to act like I know a shit about it, because I don't. This is just like very base level of what I understand of the history of Buffalo. Is just, it was like the hottest place in like the in the late 19th century, or early 1900s probably.
Fair here.
I mean, they did. Yeah. I mean, they had the
William McKinley got shot there, right?
Yeah, that was the Pan American Expedition.
Yeah, poor bastard.
Poor bastard. Shout out William McKinley.
Cheers to William McKinley.
Yeah, so that probably might have been the turning point. Dude got shot here, and
yeah, like, at this Buffalo place,
this place is, we're moving out.
This place is crazy.
Yeah, so then the economy kind of took a turn for the worse, and then the city of Buffalo was like really shitty for a while, and then within just the past couple decades, probably it's been turning around. Yeah, which is cool. And
it's been a long time coming,
for sure, and it's cool to see, and it's tough. I'm not even going to get into it because it's not something I know a lot about, and I know I have friends that know a lot more about it than I do. Like, I have friends like who like work for the city and like do shit for the city, so like they know a lot more than I do. So I'm not going to talk on it like I do know anything, but it's a lot of hard work going into it, and trying to make it even better. But there's also a lot of like pushback and a lot of shit. So.
Yeah, I mean, change comes at the price.
Yeah, of course. I read a lot. There's that Buffalo Rising is a news outlet in Buffalo. I read on there a lot because they go into a lot of.
Big newspaper guy.
Dude, I like reading. I like knowing what's going on,
That's what I've been getting back into, is just reading anything. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I just like I like knowing what's going on in like all aspects of my life, like of my surroundings.
What's going around,
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly. Like
I think that's just like you wanting to be prepared. It's this, like, at least that's how it is for me. Like, I'm a risk assessor. It's like I like to try to be ahead of the curve before the curve comes. It's like,
yeah, that's a good way to be.
Yeah, because you don't get hurt so bad that way.
Yeah, I mean, and also obviously as a person who runs a podcast, I like having conversations. So I like knowing what's going on.
Exactly.
And but I am a jack of all trades, master of none. So I just try to take a little bit of what's going on everywhere. So I'm not an expert on anything, but
at least you have something to offer.
Yeah, that's I'm trying. But yeah, big newspaper guy, not physical newspaper. But
that's
I like
just antiquated.
Right. Yeah, but I also read the New York Times, even though I'm not a huge fan of the New York Times a lot, and I listen to NPR a lot. Same thing. I'm not a huge fan of NPR, like as far as how they report a lot of things, but like I view everything with a critical lens, and I just try to get information from as many corners as I can, and try to make sense of what the fuck's going on.
It's like someone's reporting it, so they have their lens on it,
right?
So you can't just take it and make it your own.
Yeah,
if, like, you have to put your own speculation, your own thought into it, or
for
else
sure.
It's like it's almost plagiarism of the truth. It's like, but is it your truth or is it someone else's?
Yeah. I feel that.
But that's a dangerous slope to go down,
dude.
Because if you give people the power to make their own truth?
Well, here we are. We know what happens when you do that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? We're living through that, and that's and that's what the internet kind of did.
Yeah.
I was listening. So Bill Burr was just, Bill Burr. Are you a fan of Bill Burr? Love Bill Burr. So
boy.
He was just on Conan. I just saw a clip my buddy sent me, but he was talking about, where you get for it. He's like, I'm not going to listen to you if anything you're telling me you got from the internet. He's like, if you're telling me it's from a library, like, I'm good with that. He's like, because at least the library separates fiction and nonfiction. And he's like, the internet is just everything you're reading is classified as nonfiction, and it's like, and it's most of it's bullshit. So yeah, it's tough, dude. It's tough to navigate. And I just try to be on top of my shit and be as educated on stuff as I can. So I try to read as much as I can. I listen to a lot of like news podcasts and like stuff like that, and just I'm now getting into like reading like books written by like economists and stuff, and like trying to understand that world. And I don't know, this is just where I'm going.
Whole, like, crypto boom. Like, I feel like that's
way over my head.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, like,
I'm a tech nerd, bro, and like when I still don't understand Bitcoin at all.
It's
like,
all gas. Yeah,
dude,
like,
it is. It's weird. It seems like it's all just based in nothing. Like,
what
is this?
It's
like,
just it's like a numbers game. It's like it almost reminds me of like roulette. It's like you're just watching, like, there's probably some more substantial.
Yeah, there is for sure.
That I don't.
We're
understand.
just too
But like you gotta research so much, and it's
right.
Like,
and I tried doing a little bit, and I'm
I
like,
can't
I
be
don't fucking
bothered.
get it, bro.
I bought like, so I invested in VE chain, and I was like, all right,
I don't even know what that is.
yeah, it's a blockchain, but
Gotcha.
they're looking at it in China and stuff. So I'm like, I'll put $500 down here.
Hope for the
Whatever.
best. Yeah.
If I never say that $500 again, it's a $500 lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, dude. Crypto shit is crazy. It's something I just can't wrap my head around, so I just don't even try. And like that's basically where
I
I'm
don't
at
need
with
that
it.
stress.
Yeah, I'm like, it just seems like too much. You know, if I need to know about it at some point, I'll figure it out then. But I don't need to know about it right now, so I don't care.
And I say this, but then I like see people who are like, yeah, I bought like $20 worth of Dogecoin.
Yeah, I don't
I'm like,
see. I don't.
I'm like, what the fuck is a Dogecoin?
I don't know. I don't know what
can
any
you
of it
do
is.
with that?
Dogecoin seemed like a meme. It seems like a meme as far as I'm concerned, and like but I don't see how it's any different from like Bitcoin or any of the other ones. Like I'm like they're all the same to me, and they all just seem made up, and people are just like, all right, yeah, we're good.
I mean, it's just like the U.S. dollar. I mean, what's
the U.S.
what's
dollar
the U.S. dollar based on?
Right, it used to be gold,
Nothing.
but now it's not anymore. Yeah,
It's
and that's again, and what we just said, that's as far as I know about it. So I'm not
Yeah.
trying to. And when I'm talking about reading books by economists, I'm talking about reading like more like about like the history of like the global economy, the American economy, how that shit works, how
far back does it go? Well,
I mean,
that's only like
I go
300 years.
Yeah, I go to the Industrial Revolution because that was when like shit started popping off.
Yeah.
That's when like the modern.
That's when capitalism was like.
Yeah, and that's the modern era as we know it of the global economy started. You know, it all stems back. So if you can understand it when it started, the Industrial Revolution started like boom, like, and then follow it from there. Like that's what I'm about, and that's what. And I think I'm pretty well versed in like as far as like big picture stuff with the like global and U.S. economy. Like that's like I think I know a decent amount, and so, and that's like why I am the way I am and choose the views that I do, which is frustrating, you know, because I put in a lot of work to understand those things, and then I have conversations with people who don't.
Yeah,
and then
it's frustrating because instead of having a conversation where you can further your knowledge on it, you have to educate before. You know,
yeah,
like,
and some people just don't want to be educated.
And
some people are like, I chose this viewpoint because the man on the TV said I should, and you're a liar.
Yeah, right.
And I'm just
like,
oh, right.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
how do I fight that?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay.
Yeah, you learn to choose your battles for sure.
Like, how can I make you happy there?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, like I said, you got to pick your battles.
Want me to just blindly agree with you?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I just nod.
Yeah. Right.
Just nod.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, I gotta go.
Yeah. This is hopeless. Yeah. This isn't going anywhere.
But there's a lot of that going on, and like, that's the problem. If neither side of any argument, like, you know, going back on history, this country was built on being mediated, you know, and coming to what's the word?
Compromise.
There
Nice,
it is. Bro. Yeah, I botched that, but whatever. But you know, like, it's slippery though, because you don't want to compromise with, you know, like
Fascist.
Hitler or Satan,
right.
you know, like, you're Neville,
right, exactly.
You're Neville Chamberlain.
Yeah,
man.
and that's kind of where I have found a way to position myself is like, you know, there's a certain opinion at some point. There's a line, and I think everybody has this line. There's a line at some point that it's like, once you're past that line, I'm not even tolerating the conversation, you know, because it's like, I'm not trying to get, like you said, I'm not trying to get along with Hitler and Satan.
Exactly. Like, I don't need to be their friend. You know?
Yeah,
like,
I'm not just going to look at.
I don't want enemies, but right. I don't want toxic friends.
Yeah,
you know,
dude, exactly. And that's the whole thing is like, you know, people are like, oh, you just got to find common ground. And it's like, dude, I'm not trying to find common ground with people who are just straight up hateful for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like and there's a line for everybody, and I have my line. I know where that line is, and it's like, and if you're fucking with, and I have a theory, and now this is just a dumb stoner theory, like everything that I have, that there's just like the spectrum of like where you fall on American politics is just like how much you tolerate bullshit.
Yeah.
So like people in the center tolerate bullshit. They are very like, yeah, just whatever, you know? And people on the right, people on the far right are like, we are
the bullshit.
We are the bullshit. Yeah. Right. So it's like the far right is like, we made up a bunch of shit and we hate a bunch of groups of people. And then as you get further, it's like, okay, we don't agree with them, but we accept them as who they are as people. And then it's like, okay, well, we just keep our distance from them and just, whatever. But like, I will defend their right to say it. And then it's like, well, I don't know. I don't think we should let those people exist in our society. And it's like, we should probably like lock those people up. And like that's the American political spectrum. It's just like how much you tolerate bullshit.
It's like, rate your feeling on this.
Yeah, right. Like, and that's basically where we're at.
Yeah. And it's a scary place.
Yeah.
Because you can't lock anyone up.
Right. Well, like, I'm not.
So, yeah. I know. But
but
if you could, it would be probably don't want to institutionalize, but maybe like if there's a way to just without brainwashing, just like.
Well, you know what's funny?
People just enlighten, like I feel like so many people, like if they could just have like not to
face-to-face conversations.
Yeah, face-to-face. Maybe talk about something deeper than like the political spectrum that gives nothing, like they don't give a fuck about
surface level shit. Yeah. Well, dude, the thing is when you take political views, when you take all that bullshit away, like the majority of us have a lot more in common than we would think.
Exactly.
And like
the only thing that changes us is how we grew up. So if like you can just like Kaya said, just Kaya, sorry. Put your ego away. Yeah. Like
which is very, very difficult to do.
And it is.
And I struggle with that a lot.
It's hard. It's like
that's been I started paying attention to like what's going on in the world and being very passionate about it since I was like 16, and just as I continue to grow, it's just like
you become more emboldened with your views.
Right, exactly. So. And even with the conversation of just growing in general and moving towards that enlightenment, as we were saying, it's like it's all about separating your ego, and that it's the same thing with that. It's just like once I could separate my ego from it, it's like you understand where to position yourself, you understand how to carry yourself, you understand how to have those conversations without them getting heated and shit like that. And you understand, and the biggest thing for me is understanding how to pick your battles. And it's like I was saying earlier, if there's someone like where I take so much time to educate myself on so many different things where I can have those conversations, and then if I get I hear somebody saying something that is baseless, they have not done any research for it, whatever, it's like, okay, I'm not gonna where like maybe a few years ago I would have said something, but it's like this person is fucking
exactly
lost.
It's all their opinions. How are you gonna put your factual evidence against their
baseless
belief?
Opinions? Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah,
it's
and especially
it's like arguing against or for God. It's like
right. Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point because there's a lot of emotion that comes into that, and it all, as you were saying, it all goes back to how we were raised and how we grew up. So, and that's very tough for people to let go of, and that's a conversation I have with my parents a lot when they were raised very strict Catholic, and it's like. And they had their very, very strong beliefs, and I try to, unravel that with them of being like, listen, we don't have to live like that
religion
anymore,
is whack. It's whack. The whole keeping scripture from times where they didn't even know what penicillin was, like they might have some spiritual understanding and maybe live simpler lives, but it's like they use that as a crux for their power and like world dominant, like the Catholic Church.
So what's very funny about you saying that, Luke,
a crazy video about how the Catholic Church, it's like the Roman Empire never dissolved, it just became the Roman Catholic Church, and like and there's 3 points of power. You have Washington DC, where there's the obelisk, the Washington Monument is the military center, London is the financial center, and Rome is the religious center. Like that's how they control the world.
Is that some like Illuminati shit?
Yeah, I mean, like, a guy at work showed me, and so don't take it for much. But
a guy who works in the kitchen with
you? Okay, you know those characters.
Yes, all right. So, all right, I know where we're at. Go ahead.
So, but the video he showed me, he was like, yeah, it actually got taken down. I was like, whoa, okay, so they're trying to monetize it. I'm like, whoa, or demonetize it, right? What are the?
So isn't that so? The thing with conspiracy theories is so funny because when you find this crazy YouTube video, right?
I mean, I don't really put much stock into it.
No, but they're fun. They're fun to entertain, in my opinion. But they can also be dangerous. But
Yeah,
what I
for
think
sure
is so
they could be dangerous.
yeah, what I think is so funny is when when I was like 18, 19, I was like super into conspiracy theories, and that's just because I was just a dumb 18, 19 year old.
Exactly. You're like, anything's possible. You know, like,
Sure, yeah. It's also like an extremely privileged view to go off conspiracy theories, because you don't actually.
Only someone in the first world could be worried about a
exactly,
conspiracy
dude,
theory.
exactly, yeah, and that's yeah, it's they're funny, but I think it's so funny that when like there's a video on YouTube, right, and it gets taken down, they're like, for which like a like normal person, when it's like, oh shit, okay, they took that down, maybe that's
for a reason.
Yeah, maybe I should take that as a hint.
Maybe they're
that wasn't the real
propagandizing
thing.
against the Catholic
But
Church.
what's so funny is conspiracy theorists, when they take it down, it like solidifies it for them. It's like,
Exactly.
oh, they took it down because it's real.
Yeah, right.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
Like-
The conspiracists, like YouTube is part of it. You know?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. They're the elites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's but the Catholic Church ain't. It ain't all saints.
Yeah, no
I'll tell you
shit.
that for sure.
Yeah, there's a fucking pedophile ring
Yeah.
going on for like
And
30 years.
I love how much energy and money they poured into just covering it up. It's like,
Yeah, you ever see the movie Spotlight?
never seen it because I went to they pretty much told us. Actually, I had this really cool religion teacher, Mr. Whalen. He was like, you know what, you should watch Spotlight.
Whoa.
Like, it was at a Catholic school.
Yeah.
I was like,
Spotlight's a fucking super good movie. And it's just about how, the Boston Globe just like
completely
exposed.
blew up.
Yeah, and that's how, and
Well, thank God.
yeah.
Shout out the Boston Globe for that
Shout
one.
out the Boston Globe for sure. No, super good movie though. And it really shows you just like how crazy the whole fucking thing was. But yeah, the Catholic Church is fucked for sure.
Like, that's some Epstein level shit. Like,
That's beyond Epstein, in my opinion.
That literally, like,
Yeah.
Epstein is probably like that whole situation was just some pawn, like
Yeah.
some.
I mean, the Epstein situation is fucked. Don't get me wrong.
No, I mean, but like,
But it wasn't even close to as many. It wasn't even close to as big as
Like-
the Catholic Church thing.
and that was, I mean, going on everywhere.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
everywhere.
Yeah. Epstein was one guy running this.
And
fucking,
these were the heads of their community.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it is crazy. Religion is fucked. You're right. But the thing is with people who are like so dedicated to their religion, and so I think the right word is indoctrinated or indoctrined.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not that. I have a very narrow
I know what
vocabulary.
you're saying.
But like the people who are
I know
just
that
so
word.
into it, it is a fine line to where it becomes like a cult following, where it's like you were raised not to question it at all.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's those same people
Why am I
are the ones who fall into the very dangerous like following of,
Why am I a soldier to my faith? Like, that doesn't make
it's
sense.
weird. It's super, but because everybody is terrified of their own mortality is what it comes down to, and nobody wants to accept their mortality, and so
That they're gonna die.
right.
you
So
know?
yes, you're a soldier to your faith because you're gonna think you're gonna get rewarded to the pearly gates when it's over.
Through the Catholic perspective, yes.
Well, yeah. I'm just using
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own. What's the something with virgins with Muslims or something? I don't know. I have no
Oh yeah,
fucking
the
idea.
40 virgins.
Something like that. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't even know if that's true. I just remember hearing that, but
Wouldn't you want some girls with experience up there?
I have no idea. I mean, yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
What?
That's a good way to. Yeah, that debunks that for me real quick.
Right?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Virgins? What
Right.
are they?
It's like, are you sure?
Like, that doesn't sound like okay. I guess
Yeah.
beggars can't be choosers, but to drive a plane into a building
Yeah.
for this,
Right.
Like,
Oh, that's an interesting conversation as well. Of the
jihadists, like, and the fact, well, martyrdom, not even
again, not
like,
something I know a lot about.
I don't
but
either, but like, just like, it's just like ignorantly, I probably just said that like blindly about like Muslim faith, but all throughout history, that's just what it is. And that's
I mean, that's the
it's
extremist
associated
view. Every religion, for the most part, has an
with. A sect
extremist
that would go to extreme lengths,
Right. I mean, you have it in the U.S. too with Christianity,
Yeah.
with people
for sure.
with these like shooters, like mass shooters that are like
Or Kool-Aid cults,
yeah,
like,
right, yeah. It's extremism is a real fucking thing, and I mean that goes along with our spectrum with the bullshit.
I know, but it's also part of like the indoctrination, because like, just think about Joan of Arc. Like, martyrs throughout religion were held up to such a high level, and people can convince themselves
that they're
that they can be just like them. You
Right.
know, it's like, and that's a whole lot better than living, like your earthly life if it's not going for you.
Yeah, man, shit is fucked. Anyway, I want to get back into DMT because I never finished my story earlier about the kid from East Aurora with the dreads.
Okay.
I went to my buddy's apartment in Fredonia, and I was smoking weed with this kid, and he was kept talking about DMT, and I'm like, what is DMT? He's like, you know what DMT is? And he like explained, he's like, it's a natural thing that exists within our brains, and like when you do the, like, you can find it in the ground or some shit around frogs, I don't fucking know. And he was like, yeah, and then you do it, it's like 15 minutes or some shit, it's like real short. And he's like, but it's like feels like hours, and it's this whole, you just go on this entire journey and you see this lady and like all this shit, and I'm just like, yo, that sounds not
you want to
cool,
hear a terrifying
but like I would
story?
probably do it.
Well, so this similar conversation happened when I was in college with that kid I said I went to Chicago with, Josh.
Yeah.
So he was telling me a story of when he was around his friends who do DMT, and so he was at his brother's friend's house, and his brother's friend's house, and his brother's friend was a chemist, and he made DMT, and like they were all doing it around the fire. Like Josh didn't do it because he's just like, he's kind of a health nut, like he's all about just keeping shit out of his body and stuff.
Living organically or whatever.
Yeah, so
raw dogging life, if you will.
Exactly. So they went raw dogging life for sure. He's a raw dogger. But so anyways, they had this similar conversation. He's like, yeah, it's like 15 minutes. Like they sat around a campfire. He's like, just look into the campfire, take a hit, and like it'll happen. So Josh's friend at the time, like there was 3 people, not including Josh. The one guy, the guy who made it, was technically like the shaman. Like he'd done it before. So he did it first. He was like, whoo, like, hell yeah, that was like a great trip. 15 minutes go by.
Great. I like that you're telling this like you're like telling a joke. You're like, the first guy walks in.
Yeah. I mean, just wait. Okay. So the second guy does. He's like, whoo, all right, hell yeah.
Good trips all around.
Good trips all around.
Yeah.
So it gets to the guy doing it for the first time. Right, let's just say his name is
Alex.
Alex does it. Right, Alex always wanted to be a fireman. Like that's always what he wanted to be. So just a tidbit before I go into it. So he takes it and he looks at the fire and then he goes, and the first thing he describes seeing is him laying like down looking at the ceiling, and everyone he loves, people he knows and doesn't know at the time, but he feels this emotional connection that like they meant something to him in his life. And he's like, and he realizes he's looking from his coffin bed.
Right.
Like he's in a coffin. And then it warps, the scene warps, and he's in his retirement. He's with the love of his life, just the happiest he's ever been, just feels at ease, ready to go. And he sees his grandchildren, and he's just filled with so much like joy and
this pleasure. Is a 15-minute DMT trip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, as you can imagine, it goes on. He's 60 and he's receiving like his like, I don't know, your pension or whatever.
Sure.
Your gold watch after you finish your tour of being a fireman. And he just feels so much pride, and he's looking at all of his friends, and he's just like so overjoyed, and he just feels complete. And then it's 40 years and he's in the heat of battle. He's with his wife. They just had their 5th kid, and they're building a home. 30, he meets his wife.
So he's like seeing what he is projecting as his future in like reverse order from his death backwards.
So the 20-year-old, it's like how he gets into the fireman, the training he's going through now, like currently in the situation, like vividly, like, and like where he's going to be. And then he's sitting back at the campfire and he's like, ooh, fuck yeah. And like, he's like, oh, dude, like you still got like 10 minutes.
It was like 5 minutes and he saw his whole fucking life.
What? He's like, okay. He's like, yo, did someone else like come here? Like, while we were sitting here? He's like, dude, what? No. He's like, I don't know. I feel like there's someone over my right shoulder, but like my brain's telling me don't look. Like, don't look. And like his friend grabs him by the face and like puts like so he can't see anything. He goes, don't look, dude. Just stare into the fire. Like, describe him to me. He's like, he's wearing green pants, black belt. It feels like a white shirt, and he's got like black rimmed glasses on. He's like, dude, whatever you do.
Oh my God, it's Buddy Holly.
Yeah, it's literally Buddy Holly. He's like, come on, man. No, but anyways, he's like, dude, stare into the fucking fire. Don't trip. And he's like, okay. So he's doing that, and he slowly feels it moving towards him, like damn near until it's on his shoulder, and then the 15 minutes about to go up, and he feels like a breath on his ear, and then the timer goes off, and he feels it just get sucked like out of the void.
Okay.
And then so he asks his friend, he's like, dude, what the fuck was that? Like, what the fuck was that? He's like, when I first did it, I looked at him, and I couldn't look away. And the next day I got into my car, and he was sitting next to me, and he screamed at me, like viscerally screamed at me, and I was just paralyzed with fear. And I was like,
damn, DMT is nuts, bro.
Yeah, right. I know that was like a super long story, but like when he told that to me, it captivated me so much. I was like, how could something that, like, what? The good, it's like the potentiality of seeing something's like, well, a day goes on, and he asks his friend, like, what do you think? He's like, dude, like, I honestly feel so secure in myself. Like, I'm so happy. Like my life feels changed,
Yeah.
But like, I guess what the point of the story is, like, I don't want to do it with someone who's unexperienced. I want
somebody. So you need a control.
Yeah, who can guide me.
I mean, that's how it was for me when I first did mushrooms. Was like hanging out with it was me and two of my buddies, and one of them had done it before. So I was like, all right, because there's always that anxiety that exists when you first try something. You're like, I have no idea what to expect. You try to just be as calm as you possibly can, but it's like, the nerves are still there. So yeah, having somebody who's experienced with anything before you do it is good, especially somebody you can trust. And that's what I tell. I mean, I have people ask me, because I'm obviously very open about doing mushrooms, and I experiment with them quite often, but I have people who have never done them, and ask me how they should. And I'm like,
I recommend them every time.
Well, yeah, but like, do it with people you trust, and like who you're very close with, and like you don't feel insecure around, and like, and ideally somebody who knows what the fuck, like who has experience with it and knows how to do that.
Yeah, can tell you the things you're feeling aren't unnatural.
Right. Yeah. So I just stick with mushrooms. I've never even done acid, but I hear acid's fun.
Acid's like,
it sounds intense.
It's super intense. It can be a shit ton of fun.
Yeah.
But like, it's important you can do it with people you're super comfortable with. Because like the social tensions that can arise just from like, I don't know why, but it puts like a psychological and like, if you have anxiety, it can be, it can be lead to overthinking.
Yeah.
And you don't want to
Right, yeah. And I heard it also like enhances your insecurities and shit like that. So it's like,
I don't know about that. Like, I love the way I look on acid. Like, I don't know why, but like, I think everyone, including myself and everything around me, is just like beautiful.
Yeah.
Like even like June bugs. I'm like, wow, this thing is fucking awesome.
Well, yeah, that's the fun of it.
That's the fun of it, for
yeah,
sure.
I mean, that's the fun of mushrooms, is just like when you realize that you just like are existing
you're just an organism just like everything else.
Exactly. And everything's connected, and we're all one existing in this ecosystem, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And that's why it's like, I also always recommend doing it on a like super nice day outside, like,
well, if you're going to do it by yourself, like, if like, let's say you don't really have a friend you're comfortable, just microdose, just take a little bit.
My thing with microdosing is I feel like you should go full trip first.
For your first time,
because you're not going to know, you're going to have no idea what it even has kicked in. Like microdosing, like, I mean, that's what I do the most is microdosing, but it's also like, I know what tripping feels like. So it's like microdosing, you can tell what's going on,
signs,
and,
you know the demarcations along the road,
right?
It's just you're only taking 2 steps, but I agree. I made that mistake the first time I did mushrooms. I only took like 2 grams,
right? And that's what everybody wants to do. Everybody's like, well, let me just take a little bit, and I'm like, you're not gonna fucking know anything's happening.
Exactly. But I mean, hey, it still got me to where I was going eventually.
That's
and
that's the thing with like when I because I've done it with people who it was their first time doing it, and it's like, dude, just fucking eat an eighth.
Yeah.
And it's like, because you should get the full experience, because
you're gonna be pissed. Because
it's right.
Yeah.
You're gonna be pissed, and it's gonna be so annoying for you when you are sitting there being like, am I tripping? I don't know if I'm tripping.
Exactly.
I don't know. You know what I mean? And it's like, so just eat an eighth because you're gonna fucking know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just amazing when you're all on the same level. And good call on the fire thing about your buddies who were doing it around a fire.
Yeah.
There's something with psychedelics with when you're I did it with a few of my friends. Yeah, dude, you get lost in it. It's phenomenal though. It's phenomenal. And fire is an interesting, very, very interesting element.
Because it's primal. You know?
Yeah,
it's like,
maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Well, it's just pure energy.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. It's like it's hot, yeah, but it's just a shit ton of atoms just going crazy.
That's a good point. Like, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, the one time, one of like the best trips I ever had was hanging out with my friends at my buddy's cabin, and we were building a fire. Like we were already tripping, and then started building a fire. We built it together, and that's like it's such a crazy experience. Like just the most simple thing of like, you know, everybody doing their part to create like, wow, this energy. Fire. Yeah. Right. And then you just sit and stare and you're like, we created this together.
I know.
You know, and it's like, and then
so
you
fun.
have this like bond that you formed, and this is the result of it, you know, and it's like just this collaborative effort to make heat.
And what,
you know,
where's a better spot to talk about anything?
Yo, for real. Yeah. Sitting around a fire. Yeah. And just like
drinking,
talking shop,
or tripping,
doing
whatever, smoking,
doing
nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
I've never like, I have to smoke weed when I'm tripping.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it just keeps the anxiety low, keeps the spirits high.
And like shit. I feel like it's a little like, it's almost like a little boost, you know. It's like,
a lot of times I feel like it acts as like an activation agent. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
for sure.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm in it now.
Yeah, right.
What I mean?
It's like you're high, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm really high. You know?
It's great though. I love those moments when you're like in like peak trip where it's like you can't even talk.
Yeah,
you know, it's
oh
like,
my god,
you're
just laughing. Or
you're just laughing
goofy.
Super fucking hard. Everything is goofy. You feel euphoric.
Numb. Yeah.
Euphoric and numb at the same time. Like it's like you feel everything and nothing, and it's like
like your spirit is pressing against you.
Yeah,
know, like,
and it's just you've just reached this ultimate level of what you're doing, and you just can't even put it into words. There was my buddy John who was on recently, and we talked about this story of when I was, because John is a guy who just raw dogs life. You know what I mean? Does, you know, he's not into that. He, you know, has smoked weed, he has drank, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. And then he doesn't do anything. Yeah. So when it was his cabin we were at, and I was tripping, and he was like my little like sober companion guide, and he had a little notebook and would like write down what I would say. It was super funny. And I love, shout out John Vox. I love John. One of the best dudes of all time. And
I can't imagine the scribbles in there.
Yeah, dude, super. Well, he had it with him when we did the podcast, and he read a few things out of it, and I was like, I have no fucking idea what I was. But it was so funny because there was one point where it was like I was like peak trip, and I like
how much did you take?
An eighth.
Oh, okay.
I did mushroom tea. You ever do mushroom tea?
No.
Bro, mushroom tea is the way to go, man. You get a little steeper guy, and you put the mushroom there, pour the hot water in it, and just drink it. And it
doesn't take any extra activation or anything. Like if I go, like I have mushrooms at home, so like
yeah.
You're saying if I put it on a steeper with hot water.
Yep. Pour it over it, and just like you make it, like act like it's just like a, you know, tea leaves. And you just pour it over it, and then, you know, some people throw in some lemon juice or something, but honey. I actually like the taste of mushrooms. Like, I don't know. A lot of people are like, it tastes this. I feel like I think it tastes like sunflower seeds. It just tastes earthy. Bit. It's just got like an earthy, natural taste. Like it doesn't bother me. I don't know. But the mushroom tea is just like a water form of that.
Do you eat the mushrooms after?
Yeah, so you don't have to, but I did.
Yeah, why not? Why would you
so yeah, so you drink the tea and then you eat the mushrooms, and then it's dude. And, you know, every time I do that, I always have a really good time. But,
well, thank you for that.
Yeah, mushroom tea is the way to go for sure. But that's what I did at the cabin. And there was a point where I just like came to this crazy aha moment, and I was trying to put it into words to explain to John, and my mouth was just not working.
You can't. Your mouth can't possibly comprehend what you're entire being is feeling.
Yeah, and you finally, and for me, it's like you just finally just accept that it's like, all right, I just have to enjoy this moment. Yeah. And you don't have to speak on it, you don't have to document it. Just fucking enjoy that it's happening and just laugh.
Yeah, literally.
You know? And it's a beautiful thing.
Take it all in, because you know, like unfortunately, it doesn't last, you know,
Right.
like forever. But
Yeah, I did.
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
Don't want that shit lasting forever.
No. That's for sure. I did do mushrooms with some friends over the winter during the pandemic. We just hung out at my buddy's apartment. I didn't have a great time, but it's also like the circumstances. Like it all depends on where your headspace is at and everything. And you know, through this whole pandemic, dude, it's been obviously very stressful, and especially during the winter, things were tough, and we're just like stuck inside my buddy's apartment. And it's like when you're on mushrooms, like you want to go explore, and you want to walk around, and
being stuck in one place.
Yeah, it's not
sucks.
Yeah, and I've done mushrooms like that a few times where it was just like in the winter, just inside
like
with
you
some
want
buddies.
a home base, but like
you want to be able to explore.
Most of your trip to be outside of the room where you want to come back to when you're done with it.
Yeah, good call. And
then it feels like it's going nowhere the
right.
whole time. You're just like, well, I'm gonna be here at the beginning.
Yeah, and that's when you start getting like stressed, and you feel like you almost get a little stir crazy, where it's just like I've just so like I'm in my buddy's apartment, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna go hang out in the kitchen for a little bit, and it's like I go in the kitchen,
anything different,
and just try and try to figure out something. My one buddy who I was with there took a walk. We were like in like the Elmwood Village, and he took a walk to the co-op to just like get something to drink or something. And when he came back, he was like, bro, that was amazing. And he was like, I literally cried. He was like, I walked in the co-op and just saw people living their lives. He's like, dude, like I just seeing people like just working, like just seeing the cashier, like they're just working, man. Like that's just their day. It's just they're here, and somebody's grocery shop, and they're having an entire different day. And like, and that's what mushrooms is essentially, is like recognizing those kinds of things. Yeah. And he was like, it was just so beautiful seeing people just exist that it moved him to tears.
It moves you so out of yourself. You know, it's like you're no longer self-centered. You know, it's like
and that's why it's like cheat codes in the video game, because it really does allow you to kind of dissolve your ego and just exist within the universe.
If we were a flower, that would be our bloom.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, man. Trying to separate the ego. It's a tough thing to do, and I try to carry myself like that, as much as I can, and sometimes it's harder than not, but it is what it is.
Hey, what are you gonna do? You can't just give up.
As long as you keep trying.
As long as you keep trying. I mean, if you get 0.01% better every day, you'll be like 1,000 times better by the time you die.
Yeah. Maybe
math. Do it. I don't know.
All right, bro. So pandemic is starting to wind down. Things are starting to look up. Are you? I mean, dude, being 21 years old, having a little bit of an education, you know what I mean? You got a grasp of it, stepped away from it, things shut down, confined you to your home. If I'm you know what I mean? The first thing I'm thinking of is like, I want to go live. I want to go on some experience some real life shit. I want to go on a fucking
road trip.
Yeah, dude. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, what are you about to do? Like, you got to have something going on.
So like my tip of the iceberg for me is probably like at some point in my life, like work enough courage to do some part of the Appalachian Trail.
Nice. I got a buddy who hiked the whole thing.
Like, cause I don't know, I feel like that's when I'm happiest. Like if like I'm on mushrooms, that's great. But like just
being
hiking,
out in nature,
yeah, just making the most. Except one thing I don't like about nature: ticks. I was tripping acid like 2 weekends ago, dude. And I was like down by the creek, and I was inspecting myself. I found one in my belly button.
Whoa.
It was crazy. It bit me up and shit. But
that's
I got
fucked
it out.
up. Where were you?
Reed's.
Oh, nice. Yeah. How's he doing?
He's doing well.
Yeah. Good. Shout out Reed. Last time I saw him was at your 21st birthday party, and he was fucked up.
Yeah. He's always fucked up. But, that's Reed. Does his thing.
That's good. Yeah, man. I also am a person. I'm trying to, and I talk about this a lot, that I need to go outside more, especially now that it's getting nice out and shit. Like, it's just, dude, nothing makes me feel better, and it's crazy, because obviously there's this common, like, joke when amongst people who have anxiety and depression, when you're having, like, a tough go at it, and someone's just like, just go outside, and it's like, fuck off. It's like, that's not, like, but
I can barely get out of bed, but like the advice sounds like so abrasive, but it's in itself good advice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's just where is it coming from? Like,
right. It is very like surface level nothing, but however, like being outside always does help with my mental health and just like doing anything, you know,
well,
just
sunlight.
getting that vitamin D, baby.
Yeah.
Get that serotonin.
That's the toughest part about being mentally ill and living in Buffalo.
Yo, fucking, you don't gotta tell me, dog.
You know, like,
yeah.
It's so easy to just be a shut-in, you know? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like, well, what's the reason to go outside?
Right.
It's just as gloomy out there as it is in here. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, especially how we live, you know, as, I mean, I'm like the cusp of millennial and Gen Z, but you're full on Gen Z. And
Gen Z humor, let me say,
it's amazing.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I think Gen Z is the funniest fucking people
It's
of all time.
wall-breaking.
Yeah.
I love it.
It is. Yeah, it is. It is. You guys are doing something good. But what I was going to say, though, with that is just like how much we exist on screens.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, it's so easy. It is, you know, it's literally like,
Can't go anywhere without seeing a screen.
right. It's like any other drug in the world. It's just this easy hit of dopamine instead of actually doing something substantial. It's just so easy to just swipe and scroll and, you know, whatever, and just exist on a screen for a while, but eventually it's just going to fucking wear you out.
They're called cells for a reason.
Whoa. What do you mean, like cell phones?
Like prison.
Oh.
So, well, yeah, like cell.
Right. But like a cell, like a prison cell.
Yeah, you know.
So it's pretty easy to break out of, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. It's
You
super.
put that
I mean,
shit-
like,
you ever see that?
It's not. I think it was Dave Chappelle who said this. I don't know. He said, "There's prison and then there's jail." No, it was on Family Guy. He was like, "There's prisoner and there's jail." He's like, "Oh." He's like, "Okay, so you have jail where you have the sleepy guard and the broomstick with the key, and then you have prison." It's like, so where do the white guys go? Jail. Where do the black guys go? Prison. They ever go to jail? No, just to prison.
That's a Family Guy?
Yeah,
That's funny.
Family Guy does some fucked up shit, man. Like, I don't know how they got away with half the shit they do.
Well, most of it, so here's my take on that, because I see that a lot of like, I saw a tweet one time that was like, how did a generation raised on Family Guy and South Park become so sensitive to shit? And it's like, because those shows
Some of it, the shit's not funny.
Well, yeah,
like,
that's true, but it's satirical.
Yeah.
And that's it's not like what you just
Exactly.
said. That
Yeah,
joke you
that's-
just made is not making fun of, is not like taking black people as the expense of the joke. It's making fun of the fucked up system.
The system,
right?
yeah.
It's calling out the system and making the joke out of it.
Bringing
And that's what
attention to
satire
it,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's why those shows are funny.
It's the people that accept that.
Right,
As, like,
and that's why Always Sunny is fucking hilarious.
Always Sunny
and
is
like
literally,
you know,
like-
all those shows. It's like, yeah, they're yes, surface level they are offensive, but they're not. It's who is the butt of the joke. So it's like, if you're just making a joke to just
If you can
stereotype, like, fuck off, that's not funny, and we should stop doing
Yeah.
that. But satire is a completely different thing, and that's what Family Guy is.
I don't think I
South
could
Park is
ever
as
get
well.
offended watching It's Always Sunny.
No, exactly, because and that's because they don't.
It's so dumb, but
Yeah,
I love it.
It literally, the entire point of the show is making fun of people who are like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's like these people are just out of their goddamn mind assholes. You know?
I'm a recovering crackhead. This is my sister.
Yeah,
We'd
there
like
you go.
welfare.
All right, I'm gonna cut that out of the podcast.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
apologize. But
No. See, that's the other thing too, is with language, is like there was a time where
that was...
right, that is a more
I
acceptable
can't say
thing.
that word.
But yeah, dude, it's. I was just having this conversation the other day with a guy that I work with of like,
Well, that's the thing. It's like when you quote things, it's like you
Right.
gotta be mindful. Like,
yeah, that things change. Things change.
You don't
things
have
are
the context of the show to support
right.
what you say.
Yeah, and that's just,
So sounded outlandish.
right, yeah, and things change, things become less acceptable, and you just, you adjust, and that's literally how I go about my life, is just try to be as forward-thinking, progressive as possible, try to get the vibe of what people are feeling, and go, hey, we don't use those kinds of
'cause
words
the
anymore.
world's
We don't make those
changing,
kinds of jokes.
it's like-
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I was just listening to an interview recently about talking about how a lot of these old comedians, it's like, oh, they wouldn't have been able to make it today. And it's like, yeah, they would. They would adjust.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it works. Like, that's how it's always worked from the beginning of time. It's like, it's not like the world's just crazy sensitive
room.
now.
You
Yeah,
know, like-
it's just it's...
You have to adapt.
We
Like,
evolve, bro.
Exactly.
We're evolving human beings.
Like people Like, why is compassion and comedy can't coexist?
Right,
You know, it's
exactly,
like,
and they sure
what?
can, yeah. And that's where I fall a lot, is like on that balance, because I'm a huge fan of stand-up comedy and defending comics, and, you know, because especially when a comedian...
That's their art form.
Right, and the
like,
whole point of it is you're walking the line, you know what I mean? You're walking that line and trying to... And that's why I love Bill Burr, you know what I mean? Because he is a person who...
walks it well.
Walks it extremely well, probably better than most. And knows exactly how to, like, he loses the crowd on purpose and then brings them back, you know what I mean? And like, just to kind of, and he is a person who's just found that balance, and so
he dismantles people in a way,
right?
Know,
so I'm all about, you know, defending disenfranchised groups and changing my language to be more accepting and those kinds of things. But I'm a person who loves the art of comedy and knows that that's how comedy works. It's a reflection of the society that we live in, and it's all about walking that line. And like, if you're going to be a person who, like, dude, the whole thing with like Kevin Hart hosting the Oscars because he made like a gay joke like 10 years ago. It's like, dude, it's like
10 years ago,
right? Exactly. It's like you have to understand the context of time, and you have to understand you know, what was acceptable and not. It's the same thing with
just
like
listen to music 10 years ago.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's the same thing with like, you know, with like blackface and shit like that. It's like, dude, there was a time, not that it was acceptable, but it wasn't like, as like, we have evolved to a new point where we go, okay, that's not okay, you know what I mean? And not that it ever has been like, oh yeah, that's totally fine to do, but there was a time where it was like you could get away with it. So it's like there, you know, when people are pulling out these like old things of what people did in their past and trying to like ruin them for it, it's like, nah, dude, we're not doing that. Like, we are growing, and we have to allow people to grow and have to allow people to make mistakes. And it's like, if they did something fucking 20 years now, obviously it's a spectrum for everything. It depends on,
like,
on what you
perfect?
did. But nobody, yeah, that's the whole thing is and that's where I find myself trying to balance between, I mean, for lack of a better
like you
term,
said,
between left and the right.
That's not a defense to all the assholes out there who just
exactly
want to be assholes,
right?
like,
for sure, it's finding a balance for sure, and that's what I try to do, is just try to understand that balance and try to position myself as best as I can based on what I know. It's very tough, and that's all about, you know, trying to figure out who we are. And I'm sure you're gonna fucking, bro, you're in a great spot for being 21, and you know, you're in a lot better spot than I was when I was 21, and so you know, and things are only going to keep growing and evolving for you. And
well, I hope so.
Yeah, you just got to keep that positive outlook and be as respectful and understanding of your surroundings as you can, and just fucking do you.
Well, yeah, well, you know, the only way we can get better is just by knowing other people. You know, it's like,
yeah, communication,
like, and
living in a society.
Exactly, and that's probably the one thing that drives me the craziest. But that's why I was so honored to be on the podcast.
Hell yeah, dog. I mean, I love talking to you. I always have. You have a very interesting brain, and that's why I wanted to bring you on. And like, you know, when I first started seeing that you were writing and doing stuff like that, and some of the conversations that we've had, you know, and especially like, you know, our experiments with psychedelics and stuff like that, and just outlooks on life. So, and that's the conversations I love having. The
family history we have.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, I literally remember when you were born, which is a crazy statement to make.
I don't, man.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I hope it was a good day. I was born on the same day as Jimi Hendrix and Bruce Lee, but most importantly, Bill Nye.
Those are three fucking amazing people to share a birthday with. Yeah. Pretty good. You into astrology at all?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Sagittarius, baby.
Oh, yeah. Sag is rule, bro. I got a lot of... Kay is a Sagittarius, too. I got a lot of good Sag friends. Yeah.
I mean, Candace technically a Sag.
She's a cusp for sure.
She's like a Scorpio.
Scorpio Sag cusp, yeah. Yeah, dude, that shit is interesting. I love astrology, and people rip on me for it, but like,
I put a little stock into it. Like, I'm like, it's got to mean something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, for me, it's just like, I don't know.
Well, I believe in like energy.
Yeah, same. And that's like, and I believe that, you know, we exist within the universe and that everything is connected. And maybe that's just because we've done fucking smoked so much weed and done so much mushrooms and shit. But it's like, I don't give a fuck if that's what.
But isn't it like crazy to think about though? Like when there's a full moon, you'd like feel crazy because like,
dude,
the moon controls water.
That's
and
what I'm
we're
saying,
like
man.
Mostly water. So it's like,
yeah, you got to start. I don't know. Life is way more fun when you stop just writing things off as coincidence.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
and that's just how
silver
I go about
linings.
it. Yeah.
I love that movie, by the way.
Silver Linings Playbook, one of the best,
Fucking
dude.
great movie,
yeah,
dude.
and an amazing perception of mental health and relationships in general.
Honestly. Because it's not easy.
Yeah, dude, it's so funny. Well, I was watching that movie with my parents, and towards the beginning of the movie, Bradley Cooper is reading that book, and he finished it, and he's like, "What the fuck?"
Just
and he goes, throws out the window, and then wakes his parents up, and he's like pacing back and forth, explaining it to him. And I was watching that movie recently with my parents.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yo, mom and dad, buckle up, because that's probably me in like 10 years." And my mom was like, "Oh my God, I hope not." I'm like, if I'm still living here.
What was he reading? Old Man in the Sea?
I don't fucking know. I don't remember. Yeah.
That book is bullshit, though.
Oh, is it?
Sucks.
Yeah.
It's
I just
boring as
finished
fuck.
reading Brave New World. You ever read that one?
Mm-mm.
Very good book.
By who?
Aldous Huxley. It was written in 30. Do you know the book 1984 by George Orwell?
Oh, yeah. That's like, I know of it. I haven't read it. That's like a major dystopian novel, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of people say that Orwell ripped off
Brave New World.
Yeah. So Brave New World was written like 10 years before. So I read
So
1984.
I should write or read Brave New World before.
I think 1984 is a better read, in my opinion. But because I read 1984, I loved it. I watched the movie from the 80s. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know a movie existed. There's a reason you don't know that the movie exists. It fucking sucks. They tried, but they leave out a lot of stuff from the book, which makes the movie make no sense.
Exactly.
The pacing's all fucked. It's bad.
Well, it's like,
but I think it was a pretty low budget movie though. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
So because of 1984, reading into it more, it's like, oh yeah, this was, Brave New World was what inspired 1984. So I read Brave New World. I just finished it, and there's it's good. I thought 1984 was better, but the ending was just kind of boring to me. But
I hate boring ending.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than getting to an end of a book.
Right, I just put in all this commitment.
dissatisfying
Yeah, not that
ending.
I don't know. I just was like, okay, like
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, that's terrible. You want
Yeah.
something, yeah.
Yeah, but the universe that Aldous Huxley creates in that book, I really, really liked. And Peacock, the NBC streaming app, they came out with a Peacock original, which is Brave New World. So they made it like a mini series, is 9 episodes based on the book. Yeah, but they changed a lot. But I like everything that they changed. I mean, the book was written in the 1930s.
So shit.
So they changed a lot of it. Made it a lot more inclusive. Made because it's mostly it's all male characters in Brave New World, except for there's 2 women in it. So sounds like the 30s. So they switched some of the male characters to women, and then
probably had no effect on the story.
Right. Yeah. And then they also the one female character that was in the original book was kind of just like a dumb woman. That was her whole character. So they kind of blended her character with a different character to make her more
interesting, have some depth.
Yes, exactly. And I liked those changes that they made, and I think it makes it more enjoyable. So but yeah, dude, if you're into sci-fi dystopian shit, both 1984 and Brave New World are really good. And if you don't want to read them, just watch the show Brave New World, because it is super fucking good.
I do Audible just because it's
so I do Libby, which is a library app. And if you have a library card, you can just rent audiobooks on the app, and it's just free.
Yeah, and how much could a library card be?
It's free.
Oh.
That's part of living in our society.
America.
Yeah. Is you have free public access to a library.
Who gave us libraries? Was it Grover Cleveland or Eisenhower?
I don't know. That sounds right. It was probably that era.
Someone made it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no, not a president. It was Rockefeller.
Really?
Yeah, or one of those guys.
One of the captains of industry. That's super interesting, actually. But dude, think about the idea of a library and how it's like a publicly funded place for people just to go read and learn. You know what I mean? And if libraries didn't exist, if they were presented today, that was hey, I think we should take taxpayers' money. And
no,
right, and everybody would be like, absolutely not. And
there's potholes.
Right, dude. It's a crazy thing how much we've changed, how much the view has changed in our society of we've just been declining intellectualism or denying the chance to further intellectualism, and it's just and that's how we are getting where we're at.
There's no creative process anymore,
dude. Well, that's the whole thing. Is look at a time when we lived where the library was created because we wanted people to further, the idea of public education.
That was a form of education and entertainment to anyone.
Exactly. Because
reading was a pastime.
Because you want people to prosper. You want people to, no matter how much money you have, you can come here and get an education. You can try to
educate
level up
yourself.
Yeah, and try to move up in the world. And we keep and these are the types of things that I'm reading in these types of books about, the history of our economy and everything.
They kind of put a dependence on. Growing up, at least, college was always no, you're gonna go to college.
Yeah.
Okay, don't know what I'm doing there, but I'll go, I guess.
Yeah, it became a standard, but it and that's kind of where we're at now, is that college it became a standard of our society, but financially is not feasible for most people. And it's so how can you that system is not sustainable if we're trying to allow people to prosper. Now it's not even allow people to prosper. Now it's allow people to exist, to, you know what I mean? Your job market is extremely limited without some form of college degree, and it's
and even when you have a college degree, there's so many other people that you're competing with who have these college degrees.
Exactly.
But waiting to get this
right.
job,
So it's it makes absolutely zero sense for people to have to pay out the ass to just try to be where the bar is, not even ahead of it, just to be where it is, and it's but there was a time in
some professions it's necessary, like your brother David,
he's a lawyer.
You can't be a lawyer,
absolutely,
a doctor.
But the thing was, it used to in the 1960s, 50s and 60s is when college was okay, it's extremely affordable. We have a very strong middle class, and class mobility was way more fluid, and the idea of going to college was to try to, grow towards prosperity. It wasn't a standard. It was trying to better yourselves as people. And the more people that became educated, that's where you get, more movements that were successful and more things that helped Americans become more prosperous. And then that just I don't know, in the 70s.
Yeah, weird.
The 70s and 80s is when shit started to change. There's a website, I think it's called What the Fuck Happened in 1976.com or something like that. I think it's 1976, but you look, it shows all these graphs of a bunch of different things in our society. And after, I think it's 1976, everything just shifted. And so that's what I'm talking about when I'm reading about and learning about these things within our economy and within, American society, of how we used to view things and how they completely shifted and how we got to a point where we're at. And it's we need to completely reverse engineer a lot of what we've done. Because dude, there used to, what
monumental thing happened in 1976?
I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's I've looked into it before.
When did Vietnam end? 74?
Early 70s at some point, yeah. Vietnam was definitely a turning point for American society.
For sure.
Yeah. Because that was dude, the U.S. has not fought a necessary war since World War II.
Yeah.
Everything.
And it was necessary for one, we were fighting evil, and two, the best way to fix an economy.
Yeah. So, yeah. I've been reading up a lot about that too,
the war literally got us out of the Depression.
Well, there's a lot of things that got us. There was a lot of different moving factors, and FDR's New Deal was a big part of that. Yeah,
getting people back to work.
But the New Deal wasn't. The New Deal, again, viewing everything with a critical lens, the New Deal was not the end all be all for everybody, but it did. That is what got us out of.
It employed people again, It's
well, that's what built the strong middle class, and that's what the point I was just talking about in the 1950s and 60s was the most prosperous Americans could possibly be. Now, obviously, there's a bunch of other issues that were existing at that time that we've since, progressed a little further on that we still need to work on. But, as far as just the economy goes, it was, for the first time ever, it was in favor of the working class. Wages were the highest, proportionately, the highest they had ever been. And yeah, we had amazing. The auto industry was popping off too, which was a big part of it. So tons of jobs.
That's where Buffalo comes in.
Yeah, for sure.
Detroit, Cleveland.
Yeah. All those. What do they call them? Rust Belt cities. Yeah, and Yeah, and that's when you get this really strong working class who then goes on to be educated, and then, you know, from there you get, you know, like the civil rights movement, and you get all these
exactly progressive thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and then
oh wait,
right, and then in the 70s things started to shift, and then in the 1980s you get Ronald Reagan, who pretty much reversed
And
everything that
cocaine.
happened. Yes, which also is part of that. There's a documentary on Netflix called Crack. I think it's called Crack in America. Dude,
probably
insane. Fuck Ronald Reagan forever. Because dude, there are a lot of issues that exist in our society today that go back to that era. And there's a lot of fucked up shit that happened. And I highly recommend looking into it. But yeah.
He fucked over the rest of the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, dude, there's just the middle class has just been slowly declining since like the 1980s, and it's just shrinking and shrinking, and the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, and eventually that's not a sustainable system, and eventually something...
It's like the French Revolution might not happen.
Exactly. Something has to happen at some
There's going to start being
point.
salons people go to, start talking about shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, dude, that's the whole thing. Is like, right,
it's
as
like,
people become more desperate, you know, as you know, as the rich continue to become richer, the poor continue to become poorer. As people become more desperate, that's when movements start to happen because they have no other choice. And that's, you know, might not be something that happens in our lifetime, but that's where we're moving towards. And that's big picture, and that's why that's where I put all of my energy into, like, trying to understand these systems that are in place and how we got here and all that kind of shit. And that's where I try to, like, you know,
it's a lot of energy.
Yeah, it is, and that's, you know,
it's a good fight.
Yeah. So yeah, the Crack documentary on Netflix is really good. Capital in the 21st Century, I've talked about on here before. The book is really good. The documentary is really good. The Capital of the 21st Century is the most, like, high level, big picture. Here was the history of the global economy since the Industrial Revolution and how we got to where we're at. You know, really interesting stuff.
Is this all on Netflix or
those two? Yeah,
okay.
Those two.
And then Peacock.
Yeah, so the Peacock original show, which is the Brave New World, which that's just a fun show. Yeah. You know, just sci-fi dystopian shit. So there's educational stuff, and then there's just fun stuff, you know?
Well, you need both. Yeah, it's like you need salt and sugar.
Hell yeah, baby.
How about that?
That's what's up. Luke.
Aiden.
Thanks for coming on, bro.
It was my pleasure.
Thanks for bringing the Berry Visions.
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, we're probably gonna have let's go have one more. Thanks for coming on the pod. I hope everybody listening enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon, bud.
All right, I'll see you soon.
Later.